previously on Investors in the Wild. I bought an apartment in Potts Point, and that was where I first started learning about the horrors of strata. And I remember them saying, you're investing in a very risky way. If you lose your job, you could really be in trouble. You're not married, you don't have anyone to fall back onto. What happens if you're going to have kids? So I decided to sell the place, and I regret that. Between selling the first place and the second place, you lose hundreds of thousands of dollars in property value gains and tax paid.
Beck, can you focus a little bit on the Central Coast property, why you bought it and what you did with
Yeah.
it? And I think the renovations around that is another highlight.
I've got so much that's fun about this property. I bought this property after I sold Potts Point. And I remember with the strata issues, after I sold Potts Point, I was like, I'm never going to buy an apartment again. Where can I afford a house? And at that point, the Central Coast was an area where there was a lot of judgment, like all the coasties are there. But there was a really nice house there. And most importantly, I could afford it. And the house needed a lot of work. Every room was painted a different color. It was like a pink room and a blue room and a purple room and black beams on the roof. And so I got the house a lot cheaper than what it would have been if it had been painted properly. And obviously, when you buy a house, you get a building inspection done. Because I didn't know anyone in the Central Coast, I asked the real estate agent, can you recommend someone to do the building report? Massive
Mm.
mistake. Won't do that again. Anyway, he gets the guy in, the guy does the report, disclaimer, disclaimer, normal, it's okay. So I bought it, and the first thing you do, obviously, is you get people to paint it. I couldn't paint this place myself because the ceilings were quite high. The guy who's painting it calls me one day, and he's like, did you get a building inspection done for this place? I'm like, yeah, I did. And he goes, yeah, because the walls are quite waterlogged. I'm like, I don't actually know what that even means. And he's like, there's water getting into the house somewhere and the walls are very soft. And he sent me a photo of where he'd put his hand accidentally through the wall under the laundry sink. He's like, the wall was so soft when I was painting it. I went there with my paintbrush and the paintbrush just pushed through the wall.
Wow.
Yeah. And what had happened was there are these big windows at the top of the property, the skylight. And I'll show you photos of this one if I've got photos actually. But oh yeah, I've got the photos. They're barely being held into place.
Yeah, that's
It was
bad.
it was so dangerous because they're on the roof as well. So if they dislodge, they're just falling straight into whoever's in the house.
So
And
what did you do? And you had both sides denying accountability, right? Like the agent who recommended the builders who did the work, like both were blaming the other one, or what? Like,
no,
yeah,
literally what happened, I sent an email when I saw what the issue was. Obviously, I asked my lawyer what to do. Then I emailed the agent who had referred the builder and the builder. And the first thing the agent said was, oh, this is the builder's business, it's not mine, even though the builder was his guy. And I
yeah.
booked the place based on, and then the builder obviously doesn't reply for a few emails. And then he replies going, oh, I've got these disclaimers. And so
Wow.
they both basically get out of it. And then I've just got to pay the extra tens of thousands of dollars of expenses. Another thing that builder missed was I had this flight of stairs. It's like 15 stairs going up to the house, and there was no handrail. So you could actually just like step
Crikey.
off. Yeah, literally just step off and fall down a height where there's 15 stairs. He didn't pick that up as a defect. And I remember when I went to go and lease out the house, the agent who was managing it was like, you need to get a handrail here. I can't have tenants in here. This isn't compliant. That also wasn't picked up in the builder's report. And I think the lesson here is like that builder wasn't working for me. He was working for the agent. That agent is the person that's going to give him recurring work. And he just wanted to give a report that said, yep, this place is good to buy. Go get him. And the lesson here is get someone independent. Don't take the easy path, because both of those, the painting, fixing the window, getting the handrail installed, that's tens of thousands of dollars. And you know what? I'm partly responsible too. I didn't question the fact that there was like, no handrail on these stairs, and I should have. But I trusted the experts. And I still would have bought that place, but I would have used that as a negotiating point to be like, there's no handrail here. There
Yeah.
needs to be. Reduce the asking price by 10 grand.
Exactly. And I don't think you should be hard on yourself for not knowing. This isn't your area of expertise. You don't know what's necessary, what you know, the basic elements that are needed in a house to make it compliant. You trust the experts, but the
Yeah.
learning is that no, you should not necessarily trust the experts, especially if it's recommended by someone who has a vested interest in getting that house sold. So
Yeah.
do your own independent research.
And then later on, what I did with this place, this was only this year actually. Hey, it's Beck. Quick one. Just wanted to say if you've been digging what you've heard so far, follow our podcast on Spotify. And if you're really feeling it, leave us a 5-star review or share us with a mate who's either investing or curious about it. It helps us get these stories out to more people and helps more poppies to grow tall. That's it from me. Back to the show. It has, I want to say, 3.5 living areas in this house. I turned one of the living areas into an extra bedroom. This is the house where I split one bathroom into 2 bathrooms. It went from being 3 bedrooms to 4 bedrooms and 1 bathroom to 2 bathrooms. And before that, the valuation was 1.075 mil. And I did all of that work. It cost me about 90 grand.
Wow.
And then when I went and got it revalued by the bank, they said, okay, the value has increased. Instead of 1.075, it's now worth 1.1. So I'd only added 25 grand worth of value, even though I'd spent 90 grand. And I was like, what the actual? This makes no sense. I went back to them with case studies of nearby places that had sold for more and was like, your valuation is factually incorrect for these reasons. And they were like, it is what it is. It was so bad. It was literally one of those moments where I was like, am I actually really dumb? Like, should I not be doing property? Because this was such a big mistake to spend so much for so little. But then a lot of people started telling me that the banks are very conservative with
Yeah.
devaluation. So I was like, whatever, I'll move on with my life. Anyway, I went to realestate.com recently and they've valued the house as worth 1.4 mil because of the 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms now, which means that I spent 90 grand. And in terms of valuation, and let's be real, realestate.com, I rely on them more than the banks.
100%.
It's added 300 grand worth of value after spending 90 grand. So I was like, okay, that's what I was looking after, and that's that validation. But I think it shows if you can add value to a place, do it sensibly. Where there's demand for a 4 bedroom, 2 bathroom, do it. But yeah, that was a bit of a hit to the confidence. But I had a lot of investors when I was having that moment of panic of like, oh my God, I just spent 90 grand and the valuation only increased 25 grand. I had a lot of investors reach out and be like, very normal, relax.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's what you need, is why it's great to have a community of people who have been down the same path. Because if I had said that to someone who was risk averse, like in my family or something, my mum would be like, you fucking idiot, why have you done this? And you've got to have people who have also the long-term mindset of these things are painful, but it's all contributing to this long-term goal.
Yeah.
What are some other learnings that you've had in terms of renovating a house?
Always get 3 quotes. When I was getting quotes for adding the extra bedroom, the quotes varied from 10 grand to 20 grand, so double.
Wow.
It was a huge difference. And then for the bathroom, the quotes varied from 44 grand to 75 grand.
Wow.
Yeah. And normally I use a builder and I really trust him and I don't go and get 3 quotes. He was the one who was giving me the higher quotes, the 20 grand, the 75 grand quotes. And so
Interesting.
it was just one of those reminders of like, oh, I've been thinking we're really loyal and we've got like this thing going on. But actually, I need to remember this is business and it's his business and it's my business. So I need to be getting 3 quotes and looking after my business, not just thinking, oh, we've worked
100%.
together for 5 years, we know it tight. He's seen so much of this. no one else is feeling that loyalty.
I think this has come up a lot, right? In a number of our conversations, getting 3 quotes for everything is probably very wise. It feels laborious. As soon as I hear that, it's like, wow, I can't be bothered. So we talk about 3 quotes for selling your place, for example. Get 3 agents in, interview them, go through that. But also, when you're getting renos done, unless you literally, as you do, Beck, is get a paintbrush and paint everything yourself, get 3 quotes, because little bit of effort up front goes a long, long way. Everyone needs to be kept on their toes, right? The builders, the people who are basically working for you, they're always going to try and push it because, as you mentioned, it's their business. This is your business. You've got to invest your time, invest your money, invest your effort, your mental energy in order to get the best that you can from it. So, again, I'm talking to myself because I think you guys are a little bit different. I don't think you guys think I can't be bothered. I think I can't be bothered. I just want the money to come. I just want to invest and I just want to get the very easy breezy. I'm busy, but no, you have to actually take the time to have the 3 quotes.
My uncle said something really smart to me the other day. We were talking about a place that I'm thinking about buying and that it's going to require a lot of work, but it can pay itself off. And he said to me, you know what? Obviously he's older. You know what you kids don't realize? No effort, no money.
Love it.
Like,
No effort, no money. We need to make t-shirts that say that. No effort, no money. More effort, more money.
The 3 quotes thing is such an easy takeaway that everyone can apply. What's something that you wish that someone had told you before you started this whole investing journey?
learn about tax. I was so head in the sand because it was just so intimidating, but like learn about tax.
Please elaborate.
Learn about interest only versus principal and interest loans so that you're managing your income tax more effectively. Know about capital gains tax, know about how to claim renovations, know about what you can claim versus not. Like remediation works on an apartment building, they can cost 50 grand, but you can only claim 2.5% per year for like 40 years. So you spend 50 grand and you literally get a grand back every year. Really learn about how to make tax work for you sooner.
I know you've gone through the experience, so that's how you've learned. What's the best way for someone who has had no experience in this to get started in learning about all of the tax implications and the investment implications? Do you have a suggestion?
KJ, what would you say?
The worst part of this answer is I feel like you and I talk about this all the time and we still haven't figured it out. So I think it's a combination of finding the right accountant who isn't dismissive, because I've had some really shitty accountants. The ATO website is awful, but they actually have a really good chat discussion forum that gives examples, and it makes it much easier to understand. So there's that. And then I think, unfortunately, you've just gone through the process of that, Beck. So perhaps speaking to other investors has probably been quite a valuable resource as well.
Definitely talking to other investors.
This has just triggered a light bulb moment. I think it would be worthwhile us doing an episode dedicated to this and actually getting someone who has experience in this into the session to actually ask them questions that people can learn, because it sounds like, again, as we in KJ's episode we went through, there's no like one set of like list of all the things you need to do and all the timings in which it takes. In the same vein, there's no list of all the tax implications and all the ways in which you can save money and ways in which you need to spend money in order to get the best benefits. Beck, you mentioned apartments, right? And that you never go back to apartments, or that you prefer houses over apartments. Why is that the case?
Good question. I mentioned the Potts Point example earlier around, I just wanted to install some soundproofing. They said no. The second apartment that I bought, so as context, during COVID, I moved back in with my parents. I was renting at the time. My housemate turned out to be a bit loopy. He was like going into my room. I don't know if I've told you this.
I remember.
He went into my room on a few occasions and like took my underwear off the floor and like would hang it up
Oh my gosh.
on a coat hanger
I'm
and put
just
on my
remembering it all again. Oh my gosh.
yeah.
What
And
Wow.
It was just like so much weird stuff like that. And this is during COVID where you're like stuck in an apartment with this crazy guy. And so I ended up moving back in with my parents. And then at one point, after I want to say maybe a year, I was like, I need to get my own place. And the interest rates were so low that it was cheap enough for me to buy my own apartment. And so I found this apartment in Rose Bay that I really loved and thought, okay, I can actually grow old in this apartment. I love it. It was just across the road from the beach. I love the older architecture and it was just perfect like that. Beautiful timber floors, the high ceilings, the decorations on the door frames. And so I buy this place and there's this massive strata report that comes with it. It was a 1,000-page strata report. I'd never seen anything like it. And I sent it to the lawyer and said, do you use your checks, check the strata report as well? And she said, look, there's a lot in this strata report. Do you mind if we pay an extra $1,000 and get a strata expert to take a look at it? It's like, yep, let's do what we've got to do. Go for it. The strata expert comes back and he goes, look, they've been talking about doing remediation works for about 7, 8 years, but they haven't done it yet. So it's not particularly urgent. I'm like, okay, cool. Good to know. At some point, there'll be remediation works. I make an offer, the offer's accepted. The day before settlement, I get an email from the lawyer and she says, hey, just so you know, a special levy has been struck. I replied right away, how much for? And she replied the next day. So the morning before settlement's at midday, she replies in the morning saying it's 5 payments of $330. And I'm like, who cares? Like,
Yeah,
I
easy.
just bought an apartment for $700,000. Who cares about an extra $1,700? Like, fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I buy the place, I move in, I'm really happy. That was in October. In January, I'm just lying on my sofa, enjoying the summer sun, and I get a phone call from a woman who also owned in the building. And she was like, oh, hey, I'm from the apartment building, and I'm just calling to see if you have any questions about the upcoming special levy. And in my head, I'm like, why do people keep talking to me about this? It's $1,700. Why are we thinking about this so much? And I said, oh, yeah, I don't really have any questions. It's like $1,700. It shouldn't be too much of a big deal. And she goes, I don't know where you got that information from. My levy's $50,000. And so you might actually have a higher levy than that.
Wow.
I'm like, that can't be right. I was like, no, my lawyer said it was 5 payments of $330. And she's like, I'm really sorry. I don't know how to explain that, but that doesn't make any sense because my levy is $50,000. And I said, okay, well, when is this due? And she goes, well, it's due by the end of June, and we were in January. And she's like, but it's not all due in June. You've got like $5,000 due next month, then $5,000 due the next month, then
Whoa.
$2,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's like, so the levies like start being due pretty much immediately. And I had just bought a place. Like I just used like
Yeah.
my savings to buy this place. And it was just this moment of like, oh my God, I've actually got a lot of money that's about to start coming out that I wasn't planning for, that I can't. How do I afford this? Like freaking out. I literally just bought this place.
Yeah.
Anyway, I called the strata manager just to be like, is this true? And when was that levy struck? He's like, yeah, it's true. You should have been told. But also, that levy was struck 5 days before the lawyer even got in contact with me. And the lawyer was told right away. So the
Why
levy,
would the lawyer, I'm sorry.
they
Why
sat
wouldn't they tell you?
they sat on it for a few days. I'm guessing they probably also thought maybe it's just $1,700, so it's no rush. It's not important.
But they didn't know about the 50,000 plus. They
They
weren't
didn't
aware of that.
compute. They didn't compute. So where things got lost, good
Right.
point. Where things got lost was it wasn't $330. I had 330 units. So when you buy in a strata building, when you buy an apartment in a building, you're given like unit holdings, and then
Right.
whatever major expenses get distributed, it's distributed based on the number of unit holdings you have. So let's say
Right.
the apartment building has 1,000 units and you've got 100, then you're paying 10% of what's due
Yeah.
for the whole building.
Yeah.
So they went, okay, five payments of $330, but it was 5 payments for 330 units, which ended up being, in the end, it ended up
That is a big screw up. That's like
Mhm.
basic. Like I feel like that's where the lawyer's accountable here because
Yeah.
that's what you're paying them for.
Yeah. So not only did they sit on the information for days, right? Then, so I obviously start freaking out. I go to, my boyfriend Andreas is a lawyer. I show him the contract. I'm like, this is what's happening. I'm freaking out. What do I do? And he's like, move in with me. Like, get out of that place right away. Get some rent coming in and just move in with me. And then he goes, show me the contract. I'm not joking, Daria. This is what he does. He gets the contract and he goes, oh yeah, here's your smoking gun. And I'm like, what do you mean? And he goes, oh, the contract is standard. And he goes, but then they've inserted this special clause right on this page that says if a special levy is struck during the settlement period, that you as the buyer are liable rather than.
Wow.
He's like, so the lawyer should have picked up that there was going to be a levy struck during that period that you wouldn't hear about. And so that really should have been discussed. He said, did your lawyer bring that up at all? And I was like, no. And he goes, this is it. He's like, it's in a section called non-standard clauses. So they've specifically added it. Your lawyer should have picked that up. I was like, my lawyer didn't pick it up. And my lawyer didn't tell me until the day of settlement. And then my lawyer told me the incorrect amount. The problem is there's this concept in property called buyer beware. Oh, and remember I'd paid the extra $1,000 for the bloody strata
Yeah.
list.
Yeah. So why didn't they pick it up?
So because of this concept called buyer beware in property, because I could have read the strata report, because I could have read all of the building and minutes and all of that, I'm ultimately responsible, not the people I paid.
That is so wrong because then why are you paying them? Like what are they like just an extra check that may or may not be accurate? Like that's ridiculous. I don't know. That just is it feels so what happened in the end?
I had to pay for it. The lawyer, we reserve our rights, blah, blah, blah. They paid zero, nothing. I'd used this lawyer for years. My family had used this lawyer for years. I thought that would count for something. Again, I'm more loyal than what I should.
Yeah.
Um,
That's the learning, isn't it? It's just a learning. But did
yeah,
they deny full account? Like at
yeah,
least get the
yeah.
refund on whatever you paid them to do the work because they've totally screwed it up.
No, there was none of that.
$330 versus 330 units. That's a big screw up.
Yeah, it was
That's
huge.
that's like admin level, like a huge screw up from a lawyer. They're meant to know what they're doing.
Hey, it's Beck. I want to talk a little bit about buyer beware, and I would strongly, strongly recommend that everyone researches buyer beware before purchasing a property. A quick look on ChatGPT says that buyer beware is a legal concept in property transactions, and it basically means that the responsibility is with the buyer to do all of the necessary checks and due diligence before committing to purchasing a property. The seller is not required to disclose potential issues with the property. So if there's something wrong with the house or the apartment, it's not up to the seller to tell you. It's up to you as a buyer to go in and do the due diligence and discover whatever issues there are. And when a place is purchased, the law assumes that the buyer has taken steps to educate themselves about the property's condition and suitability before signing a contract. So even when I'm paying people to read the reports and I'm paying a strata specialist extra to review the strata report, because of buyer beware, the responsibility sits with me as the buyer, even though I've paid other people. And so yes, it's useful to get expert opinions on this, but remember that you should also review things yourself because ultimately the responsibility sits with you.
So you paid it in the end or what?
Yeah, so I end up paying the levy. The works were meant to go for, I think, 8 months. They went for 2 years because this is another major fuck up. The chairman chose a builder who he was mates with. The works were meant to cost $1.3 million. The builder had never done works over the value of, I think it was $800,000. So he had never done work this expensive before.
Right.
And he missed things like he forgot to factor in waste management fees. So as soon as he started the works, he's like, oh, I forgot $300,000 in my quote. So he raises a variation. Yeah. That the works were meant to cost 1.3 and the levies were meant to be 50 grand. I think I stopped counting when they got to about $80,000 when I was like, this is just getting too stressful. I'm just going to pay it and I'm going to stop adding it up. But yeah, I ended up paying a huge amount in those levies because,
And
yeah,
so how much did you pay in total for the levies, do you think?
I stopped counting at $80,000. Probably a bit over that. I can't remember. It was honestly, I know I sound irresponsible, but it just got too stressful to keep track.
Then can you just talk about what you did? Because you made the money up, right? Like you ended up selling. So
Yeah.
we can
I,
talk
s-
about
I sold the apartment once the levies were done because I didn't have any trust in the builder, right? Because he'd never done works at that scale. He made several mistakes. There were a lot of defects. I sold the place as soon as the works were finished. And I still made money on that apartment. I think because it is in Rose Bay, it was a really beautiful apartment. So I did make the money back, but I just learned a lot through that. Number one, I don't ever want to buy an apartment again. Number two, always read the contract and the strata minutes. As painful as it is, always read it. What else? Just never buy an apartment again.
I think the point about always reading it, I think so what we do, because we're not lawyers, we're not, we're not experts, we trust other people. But at the end of the day, unfortunately, you do have to be an active participant in the property investing process. And that means trusting your people where you can, but also doing your own due diligence just to double check. And I think back to Faz's episode, it's using the people in your life, like you have a lawyer partner, getting him to maybe do a review, like just getting more of a community around you to help you when you're making these decisions. There's a lot to be said about that as well.
Yeah, people who really care about you and they're invested in making sure that you do well.
And don't blindly trust the people who are supposed to be experts, because again, it's not their property, so no one's going to care as much as you care about your property.
This is like a big thing that I've learned in these conversations. Like I'm talking all of our podcast conversations, Daria. Number one, don't trust the people you're paying. Number two, no one cares about your money as much as what you do.
Exactly.
And then
exactly.
number three, no effort, no money.
No effort, no money. More effort, more money. Beck, this has been so invaluable. I think we're probably going to talk to you again. And obviously, you provide your experience in every episode that we have, but it's been so nice to actually hear from you about your journey, especially the mistakes you've made. I think that there's a lot that people can learn from your experience. Thank you so much for this beautiful interview.
I'm really glad we did this. I can't wait to talk through your story as well. And thank your dad, because he was very quiet during that whole conversation. We didn't hear him once.
I think he left. Thank you, my love.
I'll talk to you soon,
I
darling.
can't wait either. I'll talk to you soon, my love. Bye.
These are definitely lessons you do not want to learn yourself, and it's much better you learn through my mistakes. So some of the gold nuggets here: first, review contracts and strata reports yourself. Even when you're paying for others to review, you are ultimately responsible. So review everything yourself. No one cares about your money as much as what you do. Second gold nugget, look at non-standard clauses. Goes without saying, but get yourself a good lawyer. Another idea, and I don't mention this in the episode, but if you're planning to buy an apartment, call owners in the building to understand what's happening behind the scenes. Someone I know did this, and one of the phone calls, the person said, oh, this isn't captured in the strata minutes yet, but we're about to approve a strata levy and it's going to be $6,000 a quarter for the next 2 years. And the other thing that a phone call would have uncovered, at least for me, is corruption in the strata committee and things like the chairman appointing an unqualified mate to do the building works. So your 4 gold nuggets: review standard contracts and documents yourself. Number 2, look at non-standard clauses. Number 3, get yourself a good lawyer. And number 4, speak to other owners in the building before purchasing an apartment.
Hey, it's Dahlia here. Quick favour, we're building something different here. No hype, no BS, just real conversations with real investors. And we want to grow it the right way with your help. So here's what we're asking. Hit follow on Spotify, and if you're loving what you hear, leave us a 5-star review. It genuinely helps others find us. But the real favour? Share us with one person who'd get value from this. That friend who's curious about property, or the one who's already investing but wants the real stories. Send them a text, mention us over coffee, whatever feels right. And if you're an investor with stories to share, someone who wants to help others see behind the investing curtain, reach out to us at Investors in the Wild. We'd love to hear from you. This is all about helping each other grow and learn together. The more people we can bring into these honest conversations, the better off we all are.